Welcome to another Guide 2 with me, MrSealyp. The ImpTS Lemken Azurit Hybrid. This is a mod by ImpTS. This I don't believe is a new mod, I believe it's been updated. I didn't do Guide 2 on this last time when it came out. Correct me if I'm wrong, if this is a new version of the mod, but I'm sure the Azurit came out a little while ago. I didn't do a Guide 2 last time because it's quite a complicated bit of kit. There's a lot going on with a lot of options available, and I just didn't have the time to work out what was going on, how to use it, that kind of thing. So buckle in, people, because this is going to get complicated. What we'll do before we start having a look over everything, we'll have a look in store. Under sewing machines, we have the Lemken Azurit Hybrid K600. Now, the seeder itself, the seeder unit, it attaches 3-point linkage. It's not a trailed unit. It is 6 meters wide. It requires 100 horsepower. And the K600 is a multi-seeder. This one will seed everything. If you look at the bottom down there, it has got sunflower, soybean, corn, sugar beet, wheat, barley, OSR, cover crop and grass. That will do everything, that first one. So if you're looking for a multi-purpose seeder, that will do the lot, which is quite handy. This one, the first one, the K600, has the option for fertilizing as well. Okay, stay with me. The Azurit Hybrid K600NF will do, I mean, it's down to the attachments you put on it what the seeders will do. Both of these seeders will do everything depending on what you add to it. The only difference between these two is the 600NF does not have the option for fertilizing. It will only seed. But I'll get back to the fertilizing bit in a moment. So that's your main unit. At 55,000 you think it's a bit pricey. However, depending on what you decide to do afterwards, it can be actually a very good way of doing it. So the first of our attachments. The attachments are only, actually no, what I've forgotten to do, let's go and have a look. Right, so this is why it's going to get complicated. The first one, the K600, you've got design default with fertilizer unit, greening pre-equipping or default. Well, obviously if that's the fertilizer option, that's the one I wanted to go with, so I've kind of gone with the fertilizer option. A second design feature, default or ridge marker. I'll show you that in a minute. I haven't actually used the ridge marker on one of them, but I have on the other, so you can see the difference between the two. On the other one, you've got greening pre-equipping, and that's it, because this is the one that you can't have fertilizing on, so the fertilizer option isn't there. You've also got ridge marker option. Right, that's that done. On to the attachments. The seeder itself is 6 meters wide. The attachments are only 3 meters wide. But it does also say that each of these requires 25 horsepower. So the main unit is 100 horsepower, 25 horsepower for each of your attachments, you're looking at 150. Excuse me. So this first one, the Azurit AT Hybrid 300. This is the modified double disc share, and it does all seed types. So if you attach that to either of the other ones, it will do all the seeds you want. When you look at it like that, that makes it a fairly affordable option for doing all of your seeding. Because if you had to buy a 6 meter seeder that did the main crops, a 6 meter seeder that then did sunflower, soybean, corn and sugar beet, that's 2 seeders at around probably 50 odd thousand, 60 odd thousand for a 6 meter one. With this option you can get one unit and then get the attachments, you're looking at about 65,000. So it's not a bad option. There's no other options and upgrades available on that. It is what it is. At 2,500 each unit, you're looking at another £5 to get the attachments you need. The next one along, the Azurit AT DSS 300. Wow, okay, so that does all seed types. This one does the main, well, I always say the main seed types: your wheat, your barley, your OSR, soybean, cover crop and grass. So that one will do those. We then move on to the next one along. This is the Azurit AT Single Corn 300. That does the rest of the crops. So your sunflower, your soybean, your corn, maize, whatever you want to call it, and sugar beet. So these two here, the DSS 300 and the 300, will do all of the crops. That will do the main ones, that will do the other ones. That first one will do all of them. So it's going to come down to what you want to pay out for, how realistic you want to go, you know, that kind of thing. So the Azurit AT Single Corn 300 is an interesting one because, as you can see by looking at the picture, it's got your individual planting stations, which gives you your row crops, or your rows for your crops, and you can change the row distance from 75 centimeters to 50 centimeters. So that's how wide each row will be when it puts them into the ground. How much actual impact that will have in game, I don't actually know. I don't really know. It'll be interesting to see. That's one of those things that, you know, have a look, see what you think. What does it actually do? Then we move on to the Azurit AT Green 300. This attachment, I would say header, they're not headers, so they go on the back, but these attachments, this one only does grass and cover crop. So again, if you want to have a whole selection of these and just keep changing that's entirely up to you, I guess, however you want to do it. Although the horsepower requirements are slightly different on these, but you can have a look. I mean, you're ranging from 25 horsepower per attachment, 15 horsepower, 40 horsepower, so it's interesting. Now, back to what I said about these units. The one with fertilizer, the one without fertilizer attachment. The only downside is the seed tank is very, very small anyway, but the fertilizer tank is tiny. I think I got 5 litres into the fertilizer tank, so you have to have an extra fertilizer tank. What they've done is given you this compatible Amazon FT 1001 Granu tank, and that does say front tank for granulated fertilizer, not real, temporary solution. So that will increase your fertilizer capability, although the problem is the seed capability is quite low. So do you go with the option of having a front tank with extra seed in, or do you go with that? I mean, to be fair, what I would if it was me, I would go with the non-fertilizing option and run a seed tank on the front of my tractor, so I've got a bigger seed capacity. But that comes down to what you decide to do. Let's actually have a look at them. I've been waffling on for ages. So this is the Azurit, the first one, the K600. This is the one that has the fertilizing option. So when you have a look here, you've got your seed stations with all your pipes for your seed station, and then you've got this section here with all these smaller pipes for your fertilizing. You've got your tank here, which isn't that big in all honesty, but the detailing is great. MTS has done a brilliant job on this, even down to like the patches where it looks like it's worn, where it's been put onto the 3-point linkage and that kind of thing. Detailing's great, very, very neat, very, very tidy, nice looking mod. The K600NF, now I've done this with ridge markers as well, so this has got like a cage bit that comes kind of around the side with all the ridge marker paraphernalia that goes with it for laying out your ridge lines. but this one does not have the second set of pipes. This has only got the pipes for the seed station, doesn't have the ones for the fertilising. So that front disc section that this one has, that's got all the bits for fertilising, this one doesn't have. That's really the only difference between the two. If we come to look at all the attachments, this was the first one we looked at. This is the attachment. Now these are two here, so you've got one here and one here. See the join just about there. This is the one that does all seed types. There. This is the one that does the main seed types. Your wheat, your barley, soybean, OSR, etc. And this is the one with the adjustable stations from 75 centimeters to 50 centimeters. This is the one that will do your corn, your sugar beet, sunflower, those kind of things. Okay, so this one and this one here will do all of the crops. That will do all of them on its own. So it really comes down to, there's a lot of discs and wheels and there's a lot going on there. The one at the back here, this is the attachment. The last one, this is the one that does your cover crop and grass. So your green type stuff, your keeping things organic type attachment. So what I will do very, very quickly, let's get one of these things in action. Show you what I mean as soon as I hook up. So this is an attached unit, not a trailed unit. Yeah, so my tank, although it's saying, yeah, the seed tank is saying 600, the fertiliser tank says 5. So you've got a real dilemma there. 600 litres for a 6 metre tank, that's going to run out fairly quickly. And there's no way you can actually attach another trailed unit or anything onto this, so it'd have to be a front tank. So yeah, a bit of a dilemma. What do you do? What I'm going to do is attach the all-seeder one. Actually, 1, 2. There we go. Right, before I move on, there are a whole load of them actually in here, which I should have mentioned. This is what I mean about it getting complicated. I'm going to run out of time here. Let's just jump out. Here, this is... wow, this is the green options. These are the ones that do the grass and the cover crop. But there are lots of options. I didn't actually show you those, so let's very quickly back into the store. So that last one, the 080 Green 300, the options available, and you have to get this right. This is what I mean about being complicated. You can have with a cage roller, trapezoidal ring roller, trapeze roller, trapezoidal disc roller. You get a left version and a right version. You have to get those around the right way, otherwise it won't. They don't hook up and drop down properly. So very quickly, that's the cage roller, as you can see there, it's a cage. You've got the trapezoidal ring roller, because they're rings, left and right. Then you've got the trapezoidal roller, so it's not a ring, it's actually a roller. It's all very complicated. And then the one out here, I think, was the last one, which I couldn't really see much difference between them actually. But what also you've got is, if you look at the discs at the back, you've got a left and a right version for those discs. One lot points one way, one lot points the other way. You need to get them around the right way, otherwise they won't sit on the actual main unit neatly and correctly. But we might actually get onto some seeding. Who knows? Make sure I'm on the right bit. There we go. Right, so fold that up. I've got it set on sunflower, but it doesn't matter now. I'm hoping this will go directly onto a ploughed field. Should do. this does give me the option, if I scroll through now, soybean, corn, maize, sugar beet, wheat, barley, OSR, soybean again, cover crop, grass, and back to sunflower again. I'll put soybean in the ground, I think. Turn it on, drop it down, and it will drop it as a whole unit, which makes life much more helpful. And there you go. Like I said, complicated. There's a lot going on. Realistically, are you just going to go for the 6 meter option, which gives you this attachment or these two attachments, and it gives you the option to do, oh there we go, gives you the option to do, oh that's a pain, yeah, it gives you the option to do all seed types. Now here's the problem then, because there was only 5 litres of fertiliser and this is the fertilising option, I can't turn that off. So unless I've got a big fertiliser tank, which there isn't one, that's stopped now, and I can't, it won't just let me do it without. If I try and hire a worker, it will say no. If I turn it on myself, it will allow me to carry on seeding, but without the fertiliser, but I can't hire a worker to do that. Notice the difference. It's much lighter on this side because it's only seeding, whereas before it was seeding and fertilising. So I can carry on manually doing this. So that option, you know, personally, I would probably go with the one that hasn't got the fertilising option, and then fertilise my field in some other ways. But it's a kind of affordable way of doing 6 meter seeding without having to have 2 separate seeders, etc. But if you want to go the whole hog and get all of the bits of equipment, you can do all the individual different ones yourself, depending on how realistic you want to make it. Now this actual unit in real life has got some very interesting, and yeah, it's multi-seeder, some very interesting seed dispersal and monitoring equipment, and it's supposed to be incredibly efficient and works incredibly well. So I don't know whether or not in game they've done it so it uses less seed per hectare per acre. I don't know. That would be an entirely different test to do, far more scientific, I believe, to test it and see whether they have made it so it's more realistic. I don't know, but I'll say I hope this has been useful, informative. It's probably been more confusing than anything else because it's still pretty confusing to me, but that's it. That's the Azurit hybrid seeder from ImpTS. Very complicated, lots going on, lots of attachments. If you have found this useful and informative in any way, shape or form, give us a like. If you don't subscribe yet, please do. If you want to leave a comment, feel free. And if you want to share this video, then please be my guest. Whatever you should choose to do. Thanks for watching.